Today's video is brought to you by Skillshare, an online learning community. Fall is in the air and it's back to the flannel shirts here at Black Bear Forge. And with that in mind, I'm starting to think of Halloween. A few years ago, we did some little Halloween decorations. And this year, I have seen a lot of people online doing little pumpkins. And that looks like a really fun project. It's not an original idea for me. The first one I think I saw was quite a while ago to run them on. Did some pumpkin-shaped candle holders. Recently, Yamez over at Island Metal Forge did a pipe pumpkin, and I think that's what I'm going to try and do today. So I'm kind of stealing this idea from Yamez. I hope you don't mind. And I've also seen some down out of solid stock that are squished out under a hydraulic press, and that looks like fun too. But today we're going to do the pipe version, and I'm going to see if I can cut some eyes and a nose and make a little tiny jack-o'-lantern out of it. Then I'm going to have to find a little tiny light to put in there. But since it's a little bit chilly in the shop this morning, I'm going to go light the forge and get right to work. Now remember, when you're working with pipe, this is going to channel heat up the tube, kind of like a chimney, and it's going to get really hot to hold on to in the parts that you're working with. So if it's long enough you don't think you need tongs, make sure you plug this end. And that can be just as simple as stuffing a rag in there and duct taping it down so it doesn't fall back out. This isn't going to get hot enough to light the rag on fire, and if it does, just quench it. The big thing is just to block the heat. So that's really all that takes. The other big safety tip with pipe is if you're going to quench it, make sure it is pointing away from you, because when you quench this, the water that goes up inside the tube will boil and it will come out the open end of the tube. If it's pointed at your face, you're going to get splattered with scalding hot water and steam, and you're probably going to get burned. So make sure the tube is pointing in a safe direction if you have to quench it. This is mostly just a matter of necking the pipe down. I'm going to leave a little bit extra and we'll cut that off or forge it into the stem. And go very slowly here. Crushing the pipe will be hard to recover from. While I'm on this end, I'm going to go ahead and draw the rest of that pipe out so I can make a stem out of it. Using a V-block will help support this and it would be less likely to crush. Now, having started this off square, I am getting some crushing going on there that I'm just not going to be able to fix. If I'd kept it round as I worked that probably would not have done that. That's one of the things about forging pipe. Sometimes you need to keep it in the round. But for a stem, I don't think it matters if I end up with some cold shuts in there. Biggest problem is this collapse right over here. It's starting to feel pretty solid under the hammer. I actually think I'm going to like all the wrinkles. It's going to give it a nice viney texture. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and come to the face of the anvil and forge that out. I don't know if you can see that, but I've actually torn a hole in the side of this. So that stem may fall off now that I've decided I kind of like what I'm getting. So I think this next heat, I'm going to run the forge all the way up to welding heat, and we're going to flux that and see if we can just weld it down into kind of a mass. That's just beyond help. It gets worse. So I'm just going to break that off because it's ready to break off anyways. And I'll probably use the torch to weld something to that little stub there then. So I want to do the same thing back here, and that'll isolate the mass that'll be our little pumpkin. I would like to take this opportunity to thank today's video sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes to choose from. As winter comes on, the days are getting shorter, the nights are going to get longer, it's going to be colder, and instead of spending time in front of the computer watching streaming movies and sitcoms, things like that, I plan to spend some of that time learning something. Skillshare's got lots of classes to choose from, including some classes in woodworking and blacksmithing, but mostly what I'm interested in are classes that will help my online presence. Between making videos here on YouTube and selling my product online, the better I can present myself online means the more successful my business enterprise becomes. And Skillshare has lots of classes to help me along with that. Classes in online marketing, classes in website design, graphic design, classes in video production, lighting, sound management, digital photography, and specifically product photography, which can really make a difference if you're trying to sell things online. And for less than $10 a month, Skillshare has lots of classes that'll help you on your way. The first 1,000 viewers that use the link in my video description can get a free trial of Skillshare. Pretty much the exact same procedure. I don't actually want to close this all the way up. I want to be able to get a light in it later. I do want to give this just a little bit more character. So I'm going to let this cool, I'm going to cut it off, and then we're going to put some ridges in. I'll use either a very narrow fuller or a very dull chisel to do that. I think the first person I ever saw demonstrate forging produce from pipe was Rob Gunther, probably 15, maybe even 20 years ago now. And he was forging chili peppers, and I think he had also done some apples. I don't remember actually seeing that demonstration, but I think I've seen some pictures of them. But I haven't seen a pumpkin done before I saw Yamez over at Island Metal Forge do his pumpkins. So thank you, Yamez, for the idea. I hope you don't mind me borrowing it. I think I'm going to put this little pumpkin in here so I can work on it and create the lines. And we'll have to turn it some, and hopefully it'll stay put. This is kind of shallow. If it doesn't, I'll find something deeper to use. This is actually an old rivet set, the big industrial rivet set I got at an auction somewhere. And then I have a very narrow fuller. It's not sharp like a chisel, and hopefully that will leave some nice creases in there. I'm going to start at the top so I can see my layout here. There it goes. That'll probably be better. It's a squirmy little thing, that's for sure. That might be better. That's definitely the depression to use for this. Wish I had one that fit under the treadle hammer. This would go a lot faster probably. Well, I think that completes the pumpkin portion of this, but I'd still like to make a jack-o'-lantern out of it. So after this cools, I'm going to see if I can figure out how to put some eyes, a nose, and a mouth in here, which I think is going to be some drilling and a whole lot of filing with little tiny files. Well, it's a cute little pumpkin, and it would be okay just the way it is, but since Halloween is only a week away, I'm going to go ahead and turn this into a little jack-o'-lantern, which I imagine is going to take a whole lot of very tedious filing with very small files because there's not much room here. But I'm going to start by drilling a few holes. Or I should say I'm going to start by laying this out so I know where to drill my holes. I think maybe a couple of eyes right in here. I'm going to use these seams as a place to start my drill, and that way it'll center a little bit better. And then a fairly classic jack-o'-lantern nose. And the mouth is going to be the hard part. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do, so this is just kind of a rough sketch so I know where to drill holes. But I think that will get me started. I'm going to bring the nose up a little bit. Then there's this whole mouth issue. Okay, time to go drill. I'm starting with 1/4-inch holes for the eyes and the nose. I think I'm going to go smaller for the mouth. I think I'll go to a 3/16 drill. Well, that certainly gives us something that looks like a jack-o'-lantern without doing any extra work on it. But I think a little extra work would be in order. Connect the dots down here on the mouth and try and leave some spikes in there between the holes for teeth. I want to bring these eyes out, make them a little bit more sinister looking. Maybe file them to a teardrop shape and probably put the more classic triangle shaped nose in there. So there's going to be a little work with files, and maybe a little bit of work with a Dremel tool might be a good option here. So I have a few options for smaller files. I've got these habless files. These are kind of large jeweler files or something. And they have a few different shapes. I think I've got round, triangular, flat, half round. And I'm going to try those. They're fairly small. And if those fail, then I've got an assortment of jeweler's files here that are much smaller, also more delicate, and take a lot more time to work with. So this will take a while. I know I use the term Dremel, but I'm actually using a flex shaft rotary tool. Uses the same kind of bits and a Dremel would work. This is just what I happen to have in the shop. I was thinking about doing a little bit of work on the top of the stem here, but after looking at this gnarly broken off thing that didn't survive the drawing out of the pipe, I think that adds a little bit more character to it. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. I'm going to heat it up, I'm going to wax it, and I have to get a few last close-ups of it because it will never look any better than it does at an orange heat as it comes out of the forge. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, I would love it if you hit that subscribe button down there. Feel free to stick around, watch a few of the other videos, share the videos with your friends. Don't forget that the first 1,000 people that use the link in the video description to sign up for Skillshare get a free trial offer. In the meantime, I hope you have time in your day to get out to your shop, but stay safe, wear your safety glasses. We'll see you for the next one.